Hello, this is Mara from Little Miss Wonderland and welcome to my channel. If you like cute fashion, then make sure that you're subscribed and have the notification bell turned on, as there are more tutorials coming up in the future. For today I'll show you a very easy way how to make your own skirt that doesn't require a pattern at all. So it just needs some fabric and some elastic. So I'll show you two different ways how to make the skirt. The first one is the blue one that I wore from Anna DisneyWorld. And it's probably the easiest way to make them out of the two, since it only requires stitching one tunnel. And it has one ruffle end. This one is less full compared to the other one, so it's better used for a more casual look. You can use it for a tourniquet, or in my case I use it for my DisneyWorld. Keep watching till the end if you want to see some cute interaction with me and my doppelganger at DisneyWorld at Epcot. Okay, the second one is still easy but requires a bit more skill in comparison. And it has to do with the fact that this one has more tunnels. So you need to be a bit more precise and do more straight stitches. This one also has an extra layer of ruffles at the end. And in comparison, I used about 2 meters for the other one, and this one is 3 meters. So it can be worn for either a tourniquet look, but if you make it a bit longer in length, mine is a bit too short for an official Lolita one, but if you make it a bit longer and wear a petticoat on it, then this one would be great for a Lolita outfit. Personally, I prefer this way of elastic better, because in comparison, it just looks a bit more elegant. I think I prefer this style. But I'll show you both ways, and then you can just pick for yourself which style you would want to do. Start by measuring out your width of needed fabric. You'll need 2 meters for the first skirt and 3 meters if you want the fullness of the second one. Mark the length by a cut, then simply tear the fabric. This is an easy way to cut big lengths of fabric. For the length, you have to measure from your waist until the desired length you want your skirt to be. I think I used about 45 centimeters. You can also start measuring lower if you want the skirt to fall on your hip, for example. Measure and cut the fabric in the same way you've done with the bit length. For the small skirt, you need to cut 2 pieces of 80 centimeters by 2 meters for the ruffles and 18 by 3 for the fuller skirt. Next, finish off the edges with a serger stitch. You can also use a zigzag stitch if you don't have a serger. Do this for the big skirt fabric and the first layer of ruffles, so not the second layer. For the skirt part, pin the sides right side to right side together. Do this for the ruffles as well. You should now have either one big loop of 4 meters or 2 of 4 meters, depending if you want 1 or 2 layers of ruffles. Stitch them at 1 centimeter of seam allowance. Don't forget to do a back stitch at the beginning and the end. Next, take the pieces to your ironing board and press the seam open. Do this for the skirt parts and for the ruffles parts as well. Take the ruffle part that you finished the edge of and fold it over, wrong sides together. Make sure to press well, so the fold stays in. Do this for the entire length. Next, you're gonna measure out and iron your tunnel. They need to be big enough so your elastic fits in, but not too large so it can move around and twist too much. If you're going to use just one broad elastic, you'll just need to measure out one tunnel. I'm going to use 5 pieces of roughly 7mm, and so we'll make 5 tunnels of 5cm. On top of the 5cm, I will also add 5ml for seam allowance. So in total I'll measure 5 and 5 and press that so the fold will stay in place. When stitching, make sure to leave a little opening so you'll be able to pull the elastic through. If you're just going for one elastic, you only need to sew one tunnel. When you sew more, you have to be more precise. It's a technique where straight stitching is more important compared to the other. Attach your safety pin to your elastic and then start pushing through the gap and into the first tunnel. Also attach one to the end and secure it to the fabric. This way it won't end up disappearing by accident. Once the elastic came through at the other end, make sure that the size fits. Then sew the ends together with a hand stitch. When you're finished with your elastic, make sure you stitch the gap closed as you left open. Set your stitch as wide as possible. I put mine on 4. Make sure both threads of your machine are at the long length. Also make sure to use a different color from your fabric that really stands out. Grab the long fabric you just pressed and start sewing, beginning a little away from the edge. You're not going to do a full circle, instead leave a little opening. It's important that you don't use a back stitch, or else you won't be able to make any ruffles for the next step. Do a second basting stitch below that of a foot wide. Next you're going to trim the threads of just one side. Gently pull the long threads on one side and move the fabric between your fingers to create ruffles. It helps to mark the middle and the one side first, then start on the other end. Keep doing this until the size is small enough to match the edge of your skirt. Pin it together right side to right side, making sure the ruffles are equally divided. Stitch them at 1 cm of seam allowance. Next, remove the basting stitch with the seam ripper. If you want to add that second ruffle, then press it in half like you've done with the other one. From one side, measure and press 1 cm inwards. Fold it close again and fold the other line, so it's just a little below the edge. Press it into place. Use some pins if needed. Sew the same 2 rows of basting stitches in a color that stands out, like you've done with the first one. Next, ruffle it in the same vein again by pulling the long threads. For the next step, you're going to decide where you want your ruffles to go. Make sure that the seams are lined up. Place it on a level you think looks nice. Then measure up the distance it is from the edge. For me it was 4 cm. So I started measuring and marking that, so I'd have an indication where my ruffles need to go, so they're all evenly placed. Pin the ruffled end all around the skirt. When the ruffles are all pinned to the skirt, it should look something like this. You're going to do a stitch close to the edge of the ruffles. Stitch them at 1 cm of seam allowance. Finally, remove the basting stitches and you're all done. Now your skirt is ready to be worn. Well, that's it for today. What kind of tutorial would you like to see from me in the future? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more future content. I hope to see you again really soon. Bye for now!
See, we can dance together if you wanted.
Sure.
Yeah, we count to 3. 3, 2, and go. I've been practicing. Dance. Well, I use my cloak. That's the only thing I'm missing.
Oh, yeah, you should. But it's a bit warm outside, isn't it?
Well, that, and I always spill hot chocolate. I go for really fast sunrise in the morning, and
Yes.
it's a little bumpy sometimes, but my sister's very understanding.
Have you been on one this morning?
Yeah, well, just this morning with Krista.
Yes.
Of course, we went to go ice creams, of course. We usually go all the mountains. So I see that mountain looks really nice.
Do you have
We
a
do the
favorite
North
spot?
Mountain. Well, the North Mountain is the best one so far.
Where is it?
But, oh, it's over there.
Yes.
It's
Right.
at the Ice Palace.
Over there?
Yeah, but one of these mountains looks pretty good, right?
Right,
Let's
yes.
name it on a mountain. Once I find the...
Is it Olaf Mountain?
Oh, we could do that too. We can name one Sam, Krista, after all the snow days. I'm sure we have plenty of
I want to name that one Olaf Mountain.
Aw.
That's a trees, snow.
I like that.
What else?
The most
Maybe it's a bit sun, yes.
Yeah, and to see all the fall leaves are changing out there and that. It's the most beautiful time of year.
This could be the Spin Mountain.
Oh, Spin Mountain. I think that you would like that.
Yes.
Well, do you think we can get some portraits together?
Yes, please.
Nice big smileys. Very good.
There's also the one like this.
Of course.
Also gonna give you a card. If you ever do meet golf for Philippines, it means spring. And they will explain you how internet works. And then you can see yourself back.
This one.
Yes, that's my company.
Well, that's so sweet. I'm glad you came to visit. You know, the gates are always open.
Yes, next time I'll come back and I'll bring you chocolate. We'll have chocolate milk together.
Oh, that sounds perfect. I can always go for some chocolate.
Yes.